A complete collapse on Monday Night Football to the Seattle Seahawks. The Philadelphia Eagles are now 10-4. They've dropped 3 straight, 20-17 the final score. The Locked On Eagles postgame show coming your way.
You are Locked On Eagles, your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of the Locked On Eagles podcast is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use our promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Louis DiBiase. Joined as always by Gino Camilleri, 20-17, the final score. One of the worst losses I've seen from the Eagles in a long time. No, it wasn't the blowout of the Dallas game last week or of San Francisco 2 weeks ago, but this is a game that you had to have to remain in first place in the NFC East, to tie San Francisco for that 1 seed. They play Baltimore next week. Huge opportunity against an inferior opponent who has a backup quarterback in. Your quarterback is toughening out an illness. You're leading the entire football game, and then the Eagles just have done what they've been doing the last month and a half, and it's get in their own way with that Jalen Hurts interception, and then Drew Lock drives 92 yards in under 2 minutes. I mean, Gino, it's hard to be mad because they just completely messed this up on their own, and I'm just starting to get convinced that they're, one, never going to beat the Seattle Seahawks until the day I die, and two, if they ever have a dominant season, I'm just convinced they'll never have a dominant season back-to-back. I don't know. It's just, this feels very much like 2018.
It's so funny that the reason I'm an Eagles fan is because of a game where the Eagles beat the Seahawks in 2001, and that might never happen again. Like that we could be 45 years old, Lou, and we will never see them go.
I'm just convinced it's never going to happen.
Especially not in Seattle. There's no way.
No
The one thing that I think the Eagles definitely lost, in my opinion, tonight was the benefit of the doubt for exactly what you said. Like, why should we give them the benefit that they're going to be a good team in back-to-back years? If they're going to do this and prove us wrong every single time, if it's Doug Peterson, if it's Chip Kelly, if it's outside of Andy Reid's first 4 years when they went to multiple NFC East titles, multiple, like, are they going to win the East, Lou? Like, are we going to not have another repeat winner in the East? Like, I hope that's not the case.
I don't believe it right now. Honestly,
you
Gino,
can't. How can you believe it after that game?
And we were rationalizing things after the 49ers loss, justifiably so. Same with the Cowboys loss this past week. But this game, again, the Eagles, this core, it's very surprising. They would always find a way, where it feels like these last 3 games, they're always finding a way to get in their own way and to mess things up to the point where I don't believe this team, at least the team that I'm watching right now, is capable of winning a Super Bowl. Now I'm thinking more,
no way,
can we get just one playoff win? Because even when you look at, they were the 2 seed heading into this game, they were lined up to play the Los Angeles Rams, who are the 7, and they're on fire with Matt Stafford, and I don't even trust they could beat that team right now. They are just, again, the weaknesses are the same weaknesses week after week, no matter what kind of changes you make. But the elite players, too, are not stepping up. Jalen Hurts in that spot to throw to Quez Watkins one-on-one deep down the field when you're leading with just a little over 4 minutes to go. That is a Carson Wentz 2020 like reckless play, giving the football to a player that has not earned anybody's trust in 2 years. A terrible spot. The pass rush was non-existent today. The coaching staff, again, did not step up. Just it feels like the messiest 10-4 team you could possibly be. And this is 3 weeks removed from that Bills win, where it's like you were on top of the world.
Felt like a decade ago.
It does. But we probably should have saw it coming, Gino, because all these problems have been problems all year long, and they were winning in spite of them.
Well, what did we give them? The benefit of the doubt.
Right,
we kept giving them the benefit of the doubt that those things, they would be able to right those wrongs. And I feel bad, man. Like, Matt Patricia was put in such a tough spot after doing really well all game long, man. Like, holding Seattle to 13 points.
Keely Ringo battled. Eli Ricks had a good game. Sidney
Brown was battling. Nicholas Morrow battled. The defensive line had some spot. Jalen Carter was dominant in some areas. Brandon
BG
Graham
and Fletcher Cox stepped up,
And then the offense put them in a precarious position because multiple times in the same game, they had the opportunity in the first half twice to score points before half. Couldn't do that. And then twice at the end of the game, they also couldn't score points and or finish the game. The offense, Nick Sirianni, I'm looking at you, my fellow Western New Yorker, my fellow Paisan. Wake up. Wake up. You're not going to sit there at the podium and tell us that your offense is not a problem. You have averaged 14.3 points in the last 3 games combined. Luke.
And you're playing one of the worst running defenses in the league that didn't have Devin Witherspoon or one of their starting safeties in Jamal Adams. Tariq Woolen was benched in this football game, and you still only put up 17 points.
I don't get it. I don't get to how they see the same things happening and nothing is righted. After the first drive, where Brian Johnson looked so good, he gives us just a little appetizer.
Yeah.
It's like you go to
motion.
You go to a restaurant and the first little appetizer you get is great, and then the rest of the meal is horrendous because that first drive was awesome. Like you said, you get the RPO, you get more play action that you've seen all year. You even saw a triple option. That
the run game was cooking all game.
It was going.
Yeah.
You're getting 2 to 3 yards before contact, and then as soon as that first drive ends, it's like somebody who studied for a test, and they get that thing where they just blank.
It's
and
like they
don't
found
remember
out
anything.
what the first 3 questions were, but it's a
it didn't study the rest of it. Great way to think about it.
It's like
100%.
Again, because he's not used to, he doesn't commit to motion plays, to play action consistently. It's the same vanilla things over and over. It's like he takes all week to plan these 5 plays, and that's all he's got, you know. And again, it was on Brian Johnson today. Jalen Hurts with another mistake, 17 turnovers this year. I can't believe how reckless he's been, and it's not all on him, but that is very unlike the Jalen that we're used to. But the elite pass rushers like Josh Sweat today, nowhere to be found. Hassan Reddick, nowhere to be found. The elite players are not playing elite. The coaching staff is something you still have to win in spite of, and they're not doing that. And then your second and third level of the defense still. I mean, like, again, Keely Ringo battled today. So did Ricks. So did Brown. But James Bradbury has regressed to the level of almost not Byron Maxwell. I don't want to go that extreme, but he was awful today. I mean, DK Metcalf took over on that final drive, and Bradbury allows the game-winning touchdown to JSN, who is a great first-round player, but it's a first-round rookie that's a third option in the offense with Drew Lock a quarterback. It just, it feels like the messiest 10-4 team that you could have right now.
Tackling, how about that, man?
Yeah, tackling was abysmal.
2 weeks where you played teams in San Francisco and Dallas who do an exceptional job in yards after the catch area, and you follow that up with having what looked like a pretty good tackling performance at first. I thought they were doing a good job getting off the ball. They looked like they showed some energy. They were pursuing to the sideline.
Ricks and I think Brown and Ringo especially.
And then Sidney Brown started to miss tackles, and then guys that were making tackles weren't making tackles. And no, you're not getting multiple hats to the ball carrier where Zach Charbonnet trots into the end zone and there's one guy who could potentially make the tackle because nobody is pursuing to the football. And I feel bad that we're harping on the defense because it is so much more on the offense because they got put in such a bad position. When the defense gets off the field, has done a lot of those things that we have been saying for them. It's around 33% on third down that Seattle is all game long. And all Philly has to do is find a way to just work the clock. And what are we doing? We're still taking
which is what they were doing all game, by the way. Gino, that's what's frustrating.
All or nothing. All or nothing.
They're winning the time of possession battle all game. The run game is working. As you're mentioning, they're getting off the field on third down. Like some of these problems that have been killing them over the last month and a half, they did work on, but now this time it didn't result in points. Like you had the football, it felt like all game, but you couldn't punch it in. And again, so much of that is on the coaching staff. I think Brian Johnson, Gino, again, he wasn't the one that threw the pick. It was Hurts. He wasn't the one covering JSN. It was Bradbury, but I think this was on Brian Johnson, the coaching staff, more than anybody. And I don't know if this is an extreme prisoner of the moment take, but we saw Sean Desai lose his job this week just a day ago. I'm cool with Brian Johnson getting let go too. Even at 10-4, I've seen enough of this coaching staff.
And it's more justifiable that it was him anyway, if we're being honest. Yeah,
because he doesn't have an excuse for personnel. There's no reason this offense should be playing the way it is.
Defense has excuses in terms of player personnel. We know that. We totally get it. The throw to Quez Watkins, why are we even adding that element in that situation. I know we shouldn't throw it to Quez, but everything is just so difficult in between the first quarter and the rest of the game. Like after the first drive, everything is so difficult and they can't get ahead of the sticks and they're playing from behind and it's like 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 9 and you have to just hope that Jalen Hurts can make some magic happen, and then Jalen makes magic happen, and at the same time when he tries to, it also could come back to bite you like it did in this game. And you got to bottle it up and find a way to be cohesive because it falls on everybody.
I'm just surprised you can bottle up Jalen Hurts. It feels like he's somebody that I trusted to not need to be.
I trust him more that I don't think he trusts the coaches enough to want to try and sit like he.
But I don't know.
I think he trusted
4 minutes
Shane.
ago, like why you're going for that shot.
I don't.
Quez Watkins is just so unlike him, but it's not unlike him this year. He's been going for broke, I think, far too much. And in that spot, you just can't have it. But you're right. A lot of it is the wrong coaches are in his ear. The support system right now, outside of his offensive line and Brown and Smith, it's not good enough because the run game was good this week, but it hasn't shown up for a month. The coaching staff hasn't shown up all year. Mm-hmm. This is it's a team that just clinched the playoffs literally a day ago.
Doesn't seem like it.
But it doesn't feel like it. We had anonymous sources all week with new stories. We have coaching changes. We have the Slay injury and the Hurts illness, and now this collapsing loss. Maybe it's just a few weeks and they will bounce back like the 2017 Eagles did in the playoffs. But gun to my head right now, this team is not winning a Super Bowl this year. That's what I'm feeling right now.
No, man, this is the Locked On Eagles podcast, but man, we have a brain. Like, we're not going to say this team right now is better than San Francisco, not better than Dallas at this current. Even though Dallas looked bad, they blew the doors off you a couple weeks ago. And
they've had complete games this year. The Eagles have not had complete games this year.
No, and even the way Detroit is playing, man, like, are the Eagles the 4th best team right now when we were hyping them up and we gave them the benefit of the doubt?
They're playing
Never
like the
again.
6
that
or
benefit
7
of the doubt,
right now.
throw it out the window.
Yeah, and again, they can re-earn that. I mean, they've done it this year. This core has done it over the last 3 years. But right now, after that loss, again, I was willing to look at it that way. And Gino, you're right, 100%. Like, the benefit of the doubt was still there, even after these last 2 losses. But this one is Seattle. I don't know. It's a little bit different. And they're going to have to prove us wrong over these final 3 games and then into the playoffs because they will be playing in the postseason. It does not feel like it. 20-17, the final score. The Eagles dropped to 10-4 after a loss to the Seattle Seahawks. We'll continue to get into who is most to blame right here on the Locked On Eagles postgame show. This episode of the Locked On Eagles podcast is brought to you by Game Time. You should not have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sporting events, but let's say you need a break from the Eagles. They've got music, comedy, and theater events near you with killer last-minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. They're the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All in prices show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal without hidden fees. You can buy tickets in seconds with just 2 taps. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on your tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your purchase. Once again, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create that account, download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. It's the postgame show, a Tuesday edition of the podcast. 20-17, the final score. Guys, exciting news, too, to let you know before we get back into this game. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. All right, Gino, I mean, I don't even know where else to go with this game. Just so frustrating. I'm just discouraged because, like, you know, they're 10-1, and yeah, you know there's problems, the weakness of the defense. Like, we knew it was there. We knew this coaching staff was an issue. We knew the turnovers and the penalties, but they were finding ways, and it's like, I just think this core has it. They have it figured out. They're 10-1. This is the first time in my life as an Eagles fan they're dominant 2 years straight. And these 3 games happen, and I'm like, okay, yep, this is the Eagles I know. It's like no matter what regime or era or quarterback or coach it is, it's like after one dominant Super Bowl kind of run, the next year it can never be easy. And I know that's the NFL, but these last 3 games have been extremely discouraging from where we thought they were after that Bills game.
This one especially because, like you said, San Fran, yeah, you got your teeth kicked in. They exposed some weaknesses.
And you can kind
Same
of
with
understand
Dallas.
it, right? Yeah.
I get it as well.
But this
Dallas
core
was
doesn't lose this game.
No, that's the most frustrating thing because I always talk about on this show how this history repeats itself, especially in Philadelphia. This core, especially the core 4, they've lost this game, Lou. This was 2018 Carolina. This was 2018 Tennessee. The games that we said this team has learned from that have made them the team that they have become. And that was the benefit of the doubt that we gave them. And that's the lesson from today. The Eagles, all of those issues, until they fix them, you have to assume that they're not going to fix them. You have to operate with the glass half empty approach. I know we're the positivity pod, but how can you spin it positively on offense when the result is 14.3 points in the last 3 games, in the 3 biggest games of the season? Let's put emphasis and context on how big these games were. You had a chance to solidify the 1 seed. Threw that out the window. You had a chance at the 2 seed, potentially threw that out the window. The NFC East, that's hanging on by a thread. A gust of wind can take that by the wayside.
The Bills gifted you a win against Dallas, saying, "Here, regain first place," and you threw it right back. And
dude, served it right back on a golden
And I'm losing
platter.
faith. I'm not losing faith in the players. Like, if Jalen Hurts catches fire again this year, I'm not going to be surprised at all. If suddenly the pass rush wakes up, I won't be surprised. If the passing game blows up, again, none of these things are going to surprise me because I've seen it this year in the last few years. The thing right now that I've really lost the benefit of the doubt and faith in is the coaching staff. And I liked the move to shake things up and get rid of Sean Desai and have Matt Patricia take over. I thought it was a necessary move right now, but I don't know if Nick Sirianni is going to do that again. I don't think they're going to fire Brian Johnson this year, and I'm starting to not even trust that he was the guy making the call with Desai and Patricia. We know Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie have been involved in this kind of thing before with Doug Peterson. I don't really even trust that he was the one making that call.
Pepe Silvia Lou's coming out this offseason.
I'm just
folks.
like the anonymous sources again. It
No,
feels
dude.
way too much like 20. I didn't
Dude,
want to be
we're
back.
living in the same timeline over and
But isn't
over
that
and
funny?
over
Like,
again.
and they clinched the playoffs the other day. 6 of 7 years they made the postseason. Is it not the most chaotically consistent 7 years that we've ever seen? Like, for this team to make the playoffs in 6 of 7 years, considering all this kind of crap that they've dealt with. I mean, like, just you look at the Hurts illness this week, the Slay injury, Slay's comments on his podcast, the anonymous sources talking about the vanilla offense, and then there was another story
Slay
from ESPN.
currently tweeting from his couch about his individual accolades. Like,
ESPN posted a story today about, like, players talking about there's a lot of finger pointing going on in this locker room. It's like, when did we get back here so fast? It's like,
you want to know what Jalen Hurts just said in his press conference, folks?
What did he say?
He says, "I don't think we are all committed." That's from your quarterback.
Did he actually just say that?
Lou, I literally was, as you were talking, I didn't hear a word you said for the last minute and a half, to be honest with you. I was listening to Jalen Hurts.
So bad.
They're broken.
Because Jalen does not say things
No,
like that.
he doesn't,
Jalen never lets things get out of his mouth during a press conference.
No. That's weird. Something is, it always is something bigger. There's always something bigger than face value with this team. Wow. And there has to be something going on with that offense. I don't know if it's players. I don't know if it's coaches.
Is he talking players? I don't know.
It's a lot of gray area, but I'm going to say it's got to be on the offense, Lou, because how do you look at what happened last year and see the success that Shane Steichen is having in Indianapolis with Gardner Minshew? And then,
I've got the quote.
You got the quote.
He was asked a question about the 2-minute offense. He then brought up commitment. I've been talking about execution all year, being on the same page, everyone being on the same page. We didn't execute. I don't think we all were committed enough. Just got to turn it around. It is a challenge we have to embrace and continue to see it through. Asked what he means by being committed enough, he said commitment. I don't know what else to say. That's it.
Oh,
that's not good. Because again, Jalen Hurts is not. He is the most tight-lipped quarterback, especially for his age, that I've. Colin Cowherd on national TV says Jalen Hurts is the most buttoned-up player, maybe in NFL history, at the podium, especially in the league right now. And for him to say that confirms the reports we're getting anonymously. That's a red flag. That's a red flag.
It's either one, good that somebody is stepping up and saying this is a GD problem right now. Yeah. Or two, it's a complete disaster back there.
I think he's talking coaches, because if you look at the game plan, it's like coaches, Brian Johnson doesn't have a game plan. There's a route today where A.J. Brown's running to the boundary on the outside, and Kenneth Gainwell's running almost the same route. And
we're running a comeback with a comeback underneath it, so the hook defender can just be underneath the coverage. I don't know anything about the sport,
Gino, feels like, dude. And I know not to run that route. It's just like... Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, even my freshman offensive coordinator mind is like, I don't think I should draw the linebacker to underneath cover this guy with a free bracket when we don't need to. And it truly is a problem. And to be honest, Patrick Donovan in our comments just said it, like he's the guy that can say it. To be honest, I'm glad. Even if he didn't show emotion and he just said it as like an underhanded comment, I'm glad. I'm glad somebody is stepping up to the plate. And it's not just, oh, we got to fix things. The old Carson Wentz, oh, we got to be better. The old Nick Sirianni, oh, I believe in the guys we have. If there's a problem, say it. Like, you're grown men, guys. Like, step up to the plate. Like, you're 10 and 4.
That's my problem is, like, the anonymous sources, like, talking about the vanilla offense. I know that's correct. We all have eyes. We're seeing Brian Johnson's scheme. It is not good. Like, that's what I'm talking about. But to do it in the way that they did, I like that Jalen Hurts said it to the media. Like, I want him to say that in the locker room, and I'm sure he has, but at least he's putting his name and his face to it. That's what always used to even bother me about, I think it was Alshon that made those comments back in the day. They were probably correct comments, but to do it anonymously, the finger pointing report
he was
now.
Never confirmed to be the guy, Lou.
He was the guy. He was 100%. But
here's one for you on probably the worst part of the defense, and James Bradbury from Jeff Kerr over at CBS Sports. Yeah. James Bradbury in coverage tonight, aged like a bag of Canadian milk, 7 of 8, 116 yards, a touchdown, and a 118.8 passer rating.
Like, why? How did we get back here? I'm starting to not trust Howie Roseman's decisions. I don't know if I'm just in a bad mood after the game, but this is brutal. I mean, they were 10-1 not even a month ago. It's crazy how fast things can change in this league, man.
That's national football. Okay.
Yeah, dude. Like,
last full circle
I'll never
moment.
be calm. I will never be calm and trust a football team again. Like, talk about, like, if you have commitment issues in relationships, I am never going to have. I've been.
Dude, marry an Eagles fan, you will make it through anything. I am telling you.
That's what I'm saying.
Me and my wife, we're Eagles fans. If
my
we can make it through
longest
this
lasting toxic
disaster,
relationship is this football team.
Yeah, without a doubt. But the last thing I will say is, how fitting is it in a season where you had Super Bowl aspirations that you are now playing a game on Christmas where the vibes are so incredibly low that nobody wants to watch the game. Talk about the Oakland game in 2017, and now talk about this Giants game come next Monday night, man. That's unfortunate.
20-17, the final score. The Eagles drop 3 straight. They are now 10-4. We will finish up the postgame show coming up next right here on Locked On Eagles.
Today's edition of LOE is brought to you by our friends over at LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business and you want to have as many top-tier candidates as possible to interview, you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. Nick Sirianni, go hop on there for an OC tonight. We'll give you a nice little promo code as well. So LinkedIn, it isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals. I'm on there, Lou's on there. Hiring is easy, and you have many qualified candidates. In fact, 86% of all small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. They can deliver. Unlike the Philadelphia Eagles, LinkedIn knows small businesses are wearing so many hats and you might not have the time and resources to hire. LinkedIn is there for you. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply.
Thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. It's the post-game show. The Eagles collapsed in Seattle, 20-17. Drew Lock drives 92 yards in under 2 minutes. The go-ahead score to JSN to take the lead with 28 seconds left. Jalen Hurts can't get it done. Jalen Hurts, again, battling an illness. Like, I thought he ran the ball really well today. Made some great throws on third down early on, but that interception was inexcusable. He has 17 turnovers now this year, Gino. 2021 and 2022 combined, he had 19. So, I mean, you look at that, just cannot happen. The penalties and the turnovers on offense continue to happen. His 40.1 passer rating actually was the 3rd lowest of his career today. So the quarterback didn't step up. The coaching was terrible. The coverage was bad. I mean,
Yeah, like
again,
why make him read these crazy downfield routes when the guy had to go on a separate plane from the team because he couldn't even stand up? Like, why are we making it so much more difficult on this team when you know your back is already against the wall? You know you're already in a precarious position. Your quarterback has the flu or whatever the heck he has, and you just made a switch at defensive coordinator, and you can't step up to the plate. That's all you need to know about this Eagles team. Everything that we said, will it come to fruition?
3 weeks ago, we were blindly loyal to this team being able to overcome things because they did it. Like, it's not like we were making it up. They were always, and that's the thing this year is like they have not put together a complete game all year. We were worried about this really since the first game against the Patriots. You almost lost to one of the worst teams in football to start the year. Like, that should have been your first sign. But they kept finding ways, and it wasn't against bad teams. Like, if they were limping through the 2022 season, barely beating the Titans and Washington and Indianapolis like they did, that would be an issue. But this year I still believed because they beat the Chiefs, they beat the Dolphins, they beat Dallas, they beat Buffalo. Like, they were beating really damn good teams.
Yeah.
But it's crazy how quickly the trust and the faith has wavered. And again, it's more again in the coaching staff than in the players. I don't know. Maybe it's more just the scar tissue from 2018 to 2020, but this team, it's very hard to replace good coordinators when they get head coaching jobs, but this team has been awful at it for all the way back to Andy Reid hiring Juan Castillo. Juan Castillo back in the day of 2011. Like, since I was a kid, and I'm young, but since I was a kid, they've always been bad at hiring coordinators after losing guys. Always.
I mean, you can't look at what Shane's doing with Gardner and that Indy team and be like, dude, how we would.
And I'm not going to do the Frank Reich thing. I'm not going to say we should have kept him.
Well, no, you didn't have an option. He's a great coach. You didn't have a freaking option.
Takes already.
Yeah.
It's like, should have kept him over Nick. I'm not going to do that.
Of course.
But yes,
Nick
you watch Steichen with Minshew. It's frustrating.
I think what they need to get away from, I think they get so caught up into this groupthink mentality of having the next guy in line. Like, it's like, oh, here, you're up. Like, oh, we could just fill in with this. No, like, Brian Johnson isn't a clone of Shane Steichen. They're two completely independent people, and not bringing in people from outside to maybe challenge those viewpoints. Like, maybe they are stuck in their ways because there's nobody there to present a different set of eyes, a different point of view on offense. Where you look at last year, I know Jonathan Gannon got a head coaching job, but how much of that is on Vic Fangio being in that building too? And it's like Matt Patricia comes in with a different set of eyes when it comes to that defense. At least they're trying something different. The offense just hasn't adjusted at all.
That's frustrating.
It hasn't made any changes.
Matt Patricia did more to change his unit in one game than
72
Brian Johnson.
hours.
Like, I mean, I really liked what the defense did. Again, the pass rush was not good, and Bradbury was terrible again today. The tackling wasn't great, but I love that Patricia was dialing up. Like, he had a 2 safety blitz on third down one time where he's got, Byard and crashing from deep. He's using a lot of DB heavy packages. Like, they ran a lot of dime today, like a lot of 3 safety looks, 3 safeties and 3 corners. I actually thought Patricia coached up a great game. Like, Keely Ringo, DK Metcalf had 2 catches heading into that final drive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they held him, Lockett, and JSN in check. That's a very good trio. So it's almost like frustrating we can't even really highlight that stuff because the offense could not put it away, and you put the pressure on a defense that you can't trust for 4 full quarters. They did their part. The offense is the one that has to carry you.
Absolutely did. Yeah.
Like, they did more than you should have expected.
They shouldn't have been on the field. They should have been in the locker room because the Eagles ran that down. They got enough first downs. Mm-hmm. No, instead
because again, there's no excuse for the offense. You can excuse the defense. Even today, it's like you got a bunch of kids playing back there against a really good team.
Yeah, and they held their own. Like, Keely Ringo had his coming out party tonight after a terrible game in Dallas.
Better than anybody, by the way. Better than anybody on that team.
Yeah, and we were saying he couldn't tackle was the reason why he couldn't be on the field.
Summer,
what is Nick's excuse? What is Brian's excuse? Like, what is the problem? Nick Sirianni has to be some sort of just a bit of an ego to let go, man. Like, I know it's hard if you're an offensive
to not change from last year. I don't know what it is.
If you're an offensive minded head coach and you're not willing to adjust, and when people tell you that it's your unit's problem, you're probably going to take it a little personal, but maybe that's a reason to be a little introspective and say, hey, yeah, this is not a rebuilding team. This is not a retooling team. This is a team that is coming off of a 3-point Super Bowl loss that was one of the best games you've ever seen, and you would not be able to put a game like that together with the coaching staff that you currently have in that building. There is no way you are going to tell me otherwise.
No, and again, I'm not saying they have no shot this year, like they can't go on a run. The NFL has been so unpredictable. The Chiefs have had their streaks this year of being terrible. So have the Bills and the Ravens and the 49ers and the Cowboys, but I don't know, man. Like this is a low. Even I think that the Eagles, the low they're going through these past 3 games is worse than anything those other contenders have gone through this year.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, and they've been in too many close games, and
yeah, that's the thing.
They haven't put together one 60-minute game at all.
And they're getting worse. The thing is, like, we always compare them to the 2018 Eagles because it's, you could obviously naturally you compare it to the year after a Super Bowl run. But at least the 2018 Eagles, like they were playing the way this team is playing early in the year, and then they got better and better as the year went on, right? They changed things. They actually got hot at the right time. This team, it feels like, peaked the first half of the year, and now they're just going downhill each game that goes on. Like they're getting worse and worse. That's why I'm not trusting them. If they were the 5 seed right now, but they were getting hot, like let's say they started off really slow and they still had this personnel, I'd be like, they can still do it. But I'm losing faith. I'm not gaining it.
Yeah, if they put on a performance like Buffalo, for example.
Yes.
It's like, yeah,
after that,
dude, if they went out there and did what Buffalo did tonight against Seattle, it'd be like, okay, like maybe we got something to cook with.
Right.
But no, instead, every doubt, every flaw that we had in the back of our mind, why trust breaks is because people break trust. And that's what the Philadelphia Eagles offense did to me tonight, dude. Like, they broke my trust. Why am I going to trust them to go down the field and score in that situation? Why am I going to trust them that they're not going to make bad decisions?
I was just learning to love again, and I'm like, nope, this is the team I remember.
Yeah,
like,
this is why.
There they are.
This is why we love sports. This is why we're Eagles fans.
Yeah,
it's on them.
We'll
It comes down to them, folks. Like, I know we could get upset about it, but they have to hold themselves accountable. Like, unless they want to do something different, we're just going to keep saying the same thing here 5 days each and every week.
They've got the Giants twice and the Cardinals to wrap up the year. Still tied with the Cowboys in the NFC East, but the vibes in Philadelphia right now, not great. This is going to be a wild week, I'm sure, on Eagles Twitter. We've got 4 more shows, or 3 more for you this week, so buckle up, everybody. Thanks so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. That'll do it for this Tuesday edition of the show. 20-17, the final score. The Seahawks take it over the Philadelphia Eagles. For Gino Camilleri, I'm Lou DiBiase signing off. As always, thank you for downloading. Thank you for watching and listening. And I guess let's go Birds.
Yeah, let's go Birds. Yeah.